Hello, everyone. The boring movie guy back once again, and I'm going to be talking about a film that I feel like has, over the years, has sort of gone down in popularity. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it just hasn't been released in quite a while on any sort of physical media. I don't even know if it's on digital media. I don't buy digital media. I still stick with my physical media. I have to have the product in my hand to feel like I own the movie 100%. If I get a digital version of something, I feel like there's always that possibility that the physical media can go away and my movies can go with it, and I don't like that feeling, man. So, the movie I'm talking about is Martin. This is not the TV show with fucking Martin Lawrence. No, this is the movie Martin, and it's directed by and written by George Romero, who you know from directing Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Knight Rider, The Crazies, Day of the Dead, Monkey Shines, um, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, uh, uh, what was that last one? Survival of the Dead. I know there's a couple I'm probably missing out of there, and there's probably some people that want to strangle me now for missing like a couple, but yeah, we'll end it there. I think you get the idea now. The man was a, a pioneer in his genre, man. You know, he pretty much invented the zombie movie, man, the flesh eating zombie movie, man. Um, with Night of the Living Dead, I mean, that film is still this day just iconic. Here the movie was made with just like a very minuscule budget, and it's never gonna go away. That film is gonna always be remembered as the start of something beautiful, and that was the zombie movie. Sadly, it seems like the zombie craze has sort of gone down the past couple of years. I completely stopped watching like The Walking Dead a couple seasons ago. It's been going on far too long. I think it's time to maybe wrap that show up. But let me know what you think of Walking Dead. Because should I go back and watch it again? Should I go back and maybe I don't know. Should I just stay away from it? Just let me know. But yeah, let's talk about Martin. I keep getting sidetracked, but Martin is a vampire movie. It's a very original sort of take on vampire movies. The thing about this movie is it's never really acknowledged if Martin is actually a vampire or not. Um, Basically, he has this family curse where, or it's rumored about his family curse that there's vampires in his family, and yeah, um, he is going to live with his cousin. His cousin's like this older religious nut guy, and his cousin pretty much tells him as soon as he gets into his house, I'm going to save your soul, and then I'm going to destroy your soul after that. So I don't know if I would have stayed there if I was Martin, but he stays anyway. But the interesting thing about this film is that I think it actually has like a shorter budget than Night of the Living Dead, which is hard to believe, but it does. And this film is so good. It's just like wow, like when you watch it, because with such a short budget, like George Romero, the guy could do like anything. Like he was just so he was like meant to be a filmmaker, man. Like the fact that he could take these small budgets and make films that look like they're, I don't know, millions of dollars in budget and stuff like that. Like the guy was just so damn good. And this film has just great lighting, man. You're watching the movie, the lighting is so fantastic, and yeah, a lot of things you can tell that it's not exactly a big budget. Like there's many scenes in there where he's just walking around Pittsburgh and stuff like that, and you can tell that there was just no permits whatsoever and just shooting. I mean, there's even a scene in there where there was like a parade going on, and you can just tell that George Romero was just like, okay, Martin, okay, let's get Martin in this parade here, and he probably just went around with a camera crew and got shots of like Martin in this parade and stuff like that, and yeah, and also the the actors, like there is so many like people in this movie that were either family members or crew members of George Romero, and like even his wife has a part in the movie, pretty big part too, and Tom Savini plays her boyfriend, and George Romero even acts in this movie as a priest, and it's so funny, to see the ways that he would manage to get these movies, put together with minuscule budgets and actors that were just like family members and stuff like that. But I mean, he made it work. That's why he's a master filmmaker. But yeah, I believe George Romero in an interview said that he did not believe that Martin is actually a vampire. He just felt that it was just something that he just believed in, that he was a vampire. But he felt that the guy probably just had problems. He was just a serial killer, and yeah, I mean that's how serial killers are. They're a little bit off, you can say. But yeah, the actor in this movie who plays Martin, John Amplas, very, very good, man. I mean, I think George Romero just loved the guy because he kept putting him in his movies after this movie. I mean, he was in Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I think he was in Creepshow, and I think he was even in Night Riders. So George Romero evidently had a fondness of this guy's acting because he put him in so many of his movies. But this one, John Amplas is so damn good in this movie. Like, he hardly says anything in the whole movie, and when he does, it's like so creepy. And at the same time, you sort of have a affection for the character as well, even though he is very creepy. And I mean, he is killing these people and sucking their blood and stuff like that. But at the same time, he plays them so sympathetically that you just really get immersed in the character. And yeah, and I also read somewhere that like the character was supposed to be older, like really old, but I guess George Romero actually seen John Amplas in some sort of a stage play or something like that, and he was like, "Oh man, I sort of want that guy to play the part." So I guess he went and completely rewrote the script and everything to make the character younger and stuff like that. And yeah, this is the movie we got, man. And I think he made a very good decision because John Amplas really gives quite a performance in this. And yeah, it's such a great film. Just great atmosphere, great cinematography. Just directing is fantastic. I just wish that this film would get a fucking Blu-ray release, man. Ugh. Why hasn't this movie come out on Blu-ray yet? I want to know. But it just kills me, man, that this has not gotten a Blu-ray release. I mean, this was the last time this thing got released, is this copy here from Lionsgate. Oh well, but yeah, why hasn't this gotten a Blu-ray release yet? The sad thing is I used to go to I still go to horror movie conventions and stuff like that, and when I first went to these horror movie conventions, which was like, I've been going to them for a long time, man. I remember going to my first one when I was in middle school. I was like in seventh grade. Yeah, I was in seventh grade when I went to my first horror convention. And this movie, there was so much merchandise at all these vendors' tables and stuff like this for this movie. Now I go to horror movie conventions and you hardly see anything for this movie anywhere. And it's like, what the hell? Would someone please put this movie on Blu-ray soon? Because it's really losing its popularity. It's losing its fan. I don't think it's losing its fan base. It's not being reintroduced to these upcoming generations, and I don't like that. This is a movie that should be watched. It should be loved. It should have a very big cult following, but sadly, it hasn't gotten a Blu-ray release. How about Criterion? Criterion, if you're out there, release this on Blu-ray. Get your hands on it, please, and release it on Blu-ray. You already released Night of the Living Dead. How about getting Dawn of the Dead and Martin? Give them both a proper Blu-ray release. I know you can do it. You guys are awesome. I love Criterion. Please do it soon, cause it's killing me, man. Cause I love this movie. I remember my brother showed me this movie when we were younger. I remember we'd always go to Media Play, and he would always hit the horror section and just buy like everything that he could, or at least as much as he could afford. And then we'd go home and watch the movies, and he wound up buying Martin here. And I remember just watching and just being like so enthralled by it. And I haven't even mentioned the music yet, man. Who's the composer of this? Original score, Donald Rubinstein. I love the score for this movie. It has synthesizer. It's got a piano, and it's got like a woman doing some like I can't do the high pitch, so but it's really high pitched. It's like but yeah, the score is, you can tell it's a very cheap score, but it sounds so good and it fits so well in this film. I wish I can get the soundtrack for this. I actually looked the other night on eBay, and I did see that they did come out with a vinyl soundtrack for this when it first came out. But the problem is it costed like, the guy had it at $60. Buy it now, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay $60 for that. So I think I put it on my saved searches on eBay, and hopefully it'll pop up soon. So fingers crossed. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's so damn good. I haven't even mentioned that this film, its first cut of the film was like 3 hours long, but of course George Romero, cut it down. I mean, I think he did that with all of his films. I mean, you can see like his director's cut of like Dawn of the Dead, and you can see like the theatrical cut of Dawn of the Dead. So he always had to cut his movies down immensely, but I would love to see that 3 hour cut. I believe George Romero said it doesn't exist anymore, so it's sad. I would love to see that 3 hour cut, but oh well. Maybe someday we will get that. I mean, there's always hope. I mean, the fact that they found the entire cut of Metropolis, like how many years later? It was like it's like almost 100 years later they found that cut, and luckily, we got to see it. It was fantastic. I even own the copy of that Blu-ray with the entire Metropolis. But yeah, I'm gonna give Martin an 8 out of 10. It's fantastic. Love the music, love the acting, especially by John Amplas, who just really blew this part out of the water. And I love the directing in this. George Romero, he really knew how to direct horror. He really knew how to write it too, man, because his scripts are just so damn good. They have so much to say about society and stuff like that, and I love how much of a great writer he was, besides being a great director. His writing was fantastic, and yeah, just I mean, he took like a low budget like this movie, I think it was like $80,000, which is less than even Night of the Living Dead, and created something that looked like it was like $1 million budget. I love directors that can do that. There's a couple out there right now that can do that pretty well. I'll say Jeff Nichols, for instance. Um, directed movies like Take Shelter and Shotgun Stories and Mud. They're all very low budget movies. I mean, like, at least like a 10 million budget on each. I think Shotgun Stories was a lot less than that. But I mean, these short budgets, and they look like 50, $80 million budgets. Like, I love filmmakers that can do that. It shows how much of a genius they are, and I wish there were more of them around. But definitely George Romero is on that list of directors that could do pretty much anything. He could take any budget, make a masterpiece, and I love that about George.